This is the Empire Podcast, released December 18th, 2023. Episode 654. Pseudo code, pseudo good.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble of Contextual Electronics.
Almost that time of the year again.
CES.
CES, that's it. Yep, that's totally. Consumer electronics is what we're about here on the Amp Hour.
That's right. Which is usually what happens when I tell people that I have a podcast about electronics. They're like, oh, yeah.
Right.
So like, you review phones?
Phones? Yeah, exactly.
No, you wouldn't want to know what phone I use. It's lame. Yeah, CES is coming. It's interesting with CES too, because it's like CES is like this de facto. There's not many trade shows left in the US. You have the same problem in Australia.
Yep.
And it's just like, even though it is the consumer electronics show, it also becomes this de facto like place to meet. And so like I get asked by vendors all the time, like, oh, we're going to be at CES, are you there?
Yeah,
and so it just becomes this place to go to, even if you're not
right.
A consumer person.
I think that's the entire reason that they actually still go, that they still have them.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah. Yep. Because everyone just gets to hang out every year,
Yeah. And yet COVID or flu or whatever the RSV,
the
all the local, the latest virus. I pretty much go to that. I've been twice, I think, and both times I got real sick.
Oh,
so.
really?
It was Vegas, so I hate Vegas. And,
all right.
Yeah, just no fun. No fun at all.
Don't want to know what you're getting up to, but okay. What happens
in Vegas
exactly.
Stays
in Vegas,
It doesn't. It actually comes home on the plane with you in that case, in your lungs. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, and there are some good spots. I mean, like there's like a startup-y area that's like not terrible, and there's like some vendor areas too. But like you have to like walk through like the super glitz of like Intel's booth, which is like 5 stories tall, and they don't show anything there. You know, it's like, I mean, they do. They're like showing like, well, they have like their latest silicon under glass, which is fine. Like that doesn't really show me anything. And then it's like, here's some products this goes in. But it's, for the size of the booth, it's insane. Like the booth size to like relevant stuff ratio is very low.
It's very low.
Or very, very high.
There'll be
I
one
suppose.
chip under a tiny bit of glass, and that's like the entire. Yeah, right.
Right, but they have to like basically be there as a presence. And this isn't just I'm picking Intel, but it's Samsung and all the big companies too. And it's just like there's just not a lot to see. Like I want to go to a trade show and like see demos and see cool stuff. And this is like, come check out this car that has one of our chips in it. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Or maybe they have these days it's almost certainly going to be like a machine vision or AI BS. So fine, whatever.
One of the things I love is that you go to those shows and sometimes, like not always, this is what they should be doing, this is what Intel should be doing, is they should have, one of the layout or architecture guys there or something, and you can go, like, who do I talk to about the latest,
it's like it's like a dunk tank.
Right. and it's like they should wear a shirt like, I designed this or something,
routing?
Ask me about routing. Ask me about chip routing,
It's not about the engineers, Dave. You know that. I know that.
Come on, but that's what I want. That's what I want. Well, maybe not at CES, but I'd expect that at some other show.
Embedded World's better about that sort of thing. That's happening. I have to whine a little bit. So trade show season is, rounding up on us in 2024. I swear to God, every trade show that I go to is happening in April this year, to the point where it's like I'm gonna have to skip some. Yeah, so
wow.
I'm not sure how it all happened, but like back to back, like one. So like Embedded World is in Germany, in like the second week of April, and then the next week, Embedded Open Source Summit, which is like many of the same people, not like all, but like Embedded is in the name of both.
Of course,
and it's in Seattle, so it's halfway across the world, and it's like the next week, and so it's like you're home for a day, and it's like, oh God, so we'll see which one of those I go to.
And you'll be going to all of them because that's your job, really, isn't it? So
maybe, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. As is now known, I have a baby at home, so
No, well, I don't think they care about that. I think
that's true. They don't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, so I will keep an eye out for me on one of those two, at least.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, enough of that consumer electronics rubbish. Don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
What else we got? What we can talk about is
yes.
engineering. I love
Whoa.
and
That's extreme.
calling out bad engineering.
Oh, where are you going with this?
Where am I going with this? I'm going smarter every day. Have you seen?
This is, Destin?
Have you seen his latest video?
The NASA one?
Yeah.
I didn't watch it. No.
Okay.
He told NASA was wrong or something like that. I just saw that headline, so.
I've got a summary. I will now paste you the summary on my Twitter. See, you don't watch Twitter. You don't do Twitter anymore. So there you go. I've got a summary of his video, not in order, but basically, we'll definitely link it in down below. You have to watch it. And it was like, what's it titled? The video, I was scared to say this to NASA, but I said it anyway. Basically, he was invited to this like really important conference where all the movers and shakers in the space industry are there. Like, you know, like the who's who. And he got invited to give a presentation at this, and he went, oh, here's my chance. Should I do it? Should I do it? Whereas he doesn't, basically, he doesn't think that the new space launch system, the Artemis program, is doing the right thing. He thinks they're making a bunch of fundamental mistakes, and he very politely, in his very polite way, called him out on it. Like, and they're in the audience, and they're sitting in the audience, and he's like,
yeah, speaking truth to power, huh? Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he's one of his main points was that basically during the Apollo program, like they went to, like, you know, they landed on the moon. They had 6 for 0, right? So their 6 out of 6 missions landed on the moon, right? Well, Apollo 13 didn't make it, but they made it back, right? Anyway, because they had a fault. But all the landings that they actually attempted, they 100% success rate. And then they wrote this document, what made Apollo a success, and it's a technical blueprint of how they succeeded in this. And he's basically saying, you guys have not read this, have you? And it's like, ooh, burn. Like, because he thinks they're making all these fundamental mistakes, and all these choices are not driven by engineering. This is what he's getting down to. The choices that they're making are not driven by the engineering constraints of the mission. They're driven by the politics of the mission. And he thinks that they're absolutely destined. Well, destined, get it? They're destined.
Yeah, I get
to
it. Destined.
I'm here all week.
Destined.
Destined. He didn't say that, but he's warning them.
He's worried. He's worried.
He is worried for the safety of the crew. Yes, he's genuinely worried.
I mean, we're all cheering for this, right? We
we totally want it to
I want
succeed.
people to go back to the moon. Like, that's
absolutely,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
I'm totally rooting for it, right?
Let alone like averting disaster.
Yeah. But then he said basically Neil Armstrong, and also the designer of the, you know how he famously aborted from that lunar lander training vehicle thing, right? They actually developed this lunar lander, you know, this spidery looking lunar lander thing to actually simulate landing in 1/6 gravity. And he basically showed a video of where or linked to it that where Neil Armstrong himself is saying, you are not going back to the moon unless you've trained on something like this. You are going to goof it up. Because it is like, and they're not doing it. And they're not doing it. And then he interviewed the guy who actually designed that lunar lander, the engineer who designed it.
Yeah, I remember that.
And
that was a while ago,
he did a video interviewing him. That's quite good. And he's saying the same thing. Like, you're not going to get back to the moon unless you build this trainer thing to train the astronauts. They're not going to be able to do it. They're going to be hit with all these different sensations, and they're just not going. They're just going to come a gutser. And
it does make you wonder, I think in almost all assumptions for let's say sci-fi, so that I don't get myself in trouble. But in all these sci-fi futures, right, near term futures, there's always automation. But then, I feel like the story points are always well, something's going to go wrong at some point, and then a human has to take over, and then it becomes a story of ingenuity and whatever.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of plays into this too, of if you have like muscle memory, like there are going to be some things that humans just can't do, reaction times, whatever. But I think the reactivity of like to different scenarios and having different different plans as well.
Yeah, totally. And
important.
he actually goes to length on that in the video as well.
Yeah.
He's talking about just escaping from the moon, right? Just the original Apollo lander had, I think, 5. Is it in my notes here? 5 or 6 different backup systems. Right? It's like 6, is it? Okay, 6 different, I've got it here. 6 different backup methods to launch if things failed. And all of the Apollo astronauts have said this. It's like, we had backups upon backups upon backups. And apparently, they're not even using hypergolic fuels like they did on Apollo. What that means is you just slam the 2 fuels together and basic chemistry says they're going to explode and you're going to launch, right? And they're not doing that. They're having all these pump systems and all the I don't know what fuels they're using, but they're like
complexity.
They're adding
ramping.
complexity. They're adding all these layers of complexity and not having nearly as many backup methods. It's not good.
Yeah, it's a little scary. It's a little scary.
And he says the near rectilinear halo orbit, which is being used by the new Artemis mission, which is basically a big ellipse which takes them away from the moon. You know, it takes them like in close and then days like way away and stuff like that. And they reckon they've chosen this orbit, this particular orbit for comms reasons. And he's saying, that's basically bullshit. They're choosing it for other political reasons, and they don't have, and that reduces the number of backups. It means if something goes wrong when they're on the moon, they're stranded for 2 days until they can get back to match up, and like all sorts of things can go wrong. And I hope it doesn't, but geez, Anyway, it was very brave of him to
that's good. I'll have
get
to watch
up
that.
in front of and he
it's kind of interesting, how paranoid should you be, but it does seem like that would be.
Well, you're going to the moon. I think you got to be super
right,
paranoid, and that's why Apollo made 6 out of 6 landings. They stuck 6 out of 6 landings, is because they were super paranoid, and backups upon backups, and that's how Apollo 13 was saved, and all sorts of things, because they had so many options. Whereas this one, Artemis, it sounds like it's it's like, and he asked them, "Have you read this?" like guide written by the Apollo people, which is like how we succeeded, and like no hands went up, like nobody's actually read it, and apparently it's the blueprint for how you succeed landing on the moon. And it's like
RTFM.
RTFM. So anyway, that was pretty gutsy to do that, and I think it was valuable. Because if you're doing, like, you should be doing things for engineering reasons. You should be, all the fundamental choices should be for engineering reasons, should not be for politics. So, yeah. Anyway, this is not the Space YouTube channel, but you'll have to. It's long, unfortunately, so you can't, like, it's over an hour long, so
Well, I got a holiday coming up. I have a little time.
Well, although I've got to say, you could probably skip the first 30 minutes because he goes into like all his background and stuff like that. So you could probably skip to various points.
I just watch at 3x speed, Dave. I'm cool, man.
3?
20-minute video.
3x?
Yeah. What's your fastest you go? 3 is. I can do
2 is probably the fastest.
Depends.
I have
Depends on the person.
It totally depends on the person. Yeah, like a really
Dustin
slow
has
talk.
accent.
I'm at 2. Right.
Yeah. Oh, really slow talk. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like a really slow talk.
How about this? I can listen to Dave at least 2.
Right.
I've gotten to like some of the late night shows that I watch. I like watch like their clips and stuff like that.
Right.
I can do this 3x, no problem.
Really, 3x? Okay, maybe. Like,
and like you normalize to it. You really, I think one of the things is you have to you ramp your way up.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how your brain just adapts to that sort. I mean, I'm sure people are listening to us right now.
Yep.
And
they've only got a half-hour gym workout.
Probably.
Really
sorry.
slow.
Yeah. I mean, I listen to podcasts at least 2x. Right. I mean,
Okay. Yep. Well, I set mine as 1.5 is like pretty much
That's
it.
your baseline.
Unless I've got a really fast talker, and then I'm going, okay, I can set that, but down to 1.25 or something.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
But
So my wife and I talk about this. She really loves Armchair Expert, which is
right.
It's a celebrity podcast, sort of. I mean,
Right,
Dax Shepard is like,
Who?
he's an actor and he's got a podcast.
No idea.
But like, if you listen to him at 1x speed, he sounds dumb.
Right.
And
okay.
he's not
yeah,
a dumb person.
Got it.
But he sounds
He's
dumb.
just one of
I
those
think.
slow,
but
methodical talkers.
No, it's not even that. It's just, I think it's honestly, it's just me. It's my brain. I've normalized to it.
Okay.
People are probably like,
Yep.
I just think that he sounds it's a different podcast when you listen to it slow. So
Yep.
Yeah.
Although
There's someone out there nodding their head right now. They're like, Chris sounds really stupid at 1x.
Although if it's
moderately
something
smart at 1.5.
important and I know I've got the time to do it, I do set it back to 1. Because I find that I can, like, especially if I'm doing something, I'm outside, I'm working, I'm doing a task or something like that, I'll set it on 1. I don't want that to be at 1.5. I sort of, want to slow it back down to sort of, just to let it sort of, give my brain more time to process kind of thing. But yeah, I totally get it though.
I'm currently halfway through a book called Shogun. And it's about
Isn't
it's
that
like
a movie?
narrative, like Japanese history. I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I don't know anything about it other than like my friend recommended it.
Okay.
And it's great. And it's a 40-hour book.
Right.
It's just, if I don't go faster, it's like, wow.
Yeah,
like,
that's a lot
crazy.
of that's a lot of
a lot of
commitment.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Anyway, focus on engineering, people. But unfortunately, I'm sure you've worked at companies that have, been not necessarily engineering focused. So
there's the human element sneaks its way in everything, right? I mean, that's how it goes. Yeah.
Hang on,
Organizational
the original
problems.
post was deleted. The original post. Somebody deleted the post on Twitter. Was that Destin? He hasn't deleted it, has he?
Maybe NASA got to him.
Yeah, they got him. The lizard people. Lizard people got him. No, it's still there. It's still there. So anyway, highly recommended. It's good. Yeah. And you can just sense the like the little hint of snark in that, like you guys are wrong, and like you're gonna kamikatsu, and please don't kill the astronauts. Like, and he does it for genuine reasons though. Like, he genuinely cares, and that's good. It's all good. Anyway.
Speaking of committing to things, I am committing to a new board rev on 2 boards before the end of the year, and
you do realize it's the 18th.
I'm running out of time. I know.
Well, I've
really, it's just paying the invoice before the end of the year. And I'm not going to get it made before the end of the year.
Right.
But that's the.
I don't know. We
I've got
used to
some
do
revisions.
that. I can remember making stuff just before Christmas, and yep.
Yeah. What was the closest you shaved it? Board back.
Well,
December 23rd?
we spun it in 24. We spun the board in 24 hours.
Yep.
Yeah, spun an 8-layer board in 24 hours. It cost us, I don't know, $2,000-$3,000 or something.
Yeah.
But
totally.
we spun the board in 24 hours. They just bump everyone else. They just, like, if you pay enough money, they will bump all their other
cut the line,
customers. Yeah, exactly. Or they'll have an emergency. There are companies that have like a dedicated line that they keep open for these emergency jobs, and they say they're bumping customers, but they're not actually. They're just spinning up their emergency line. So yep. But they'll charge you an arm and a leg for it. But it's certainly possible. It is certainly possible. You can do it. Yep. No, I can remember having to finish an entire, like, we started a design on the 15th or something of December, and the trade show was like January 15th. So like we had to, So like,
I mean, at this point, we're also like getting ahead of like New Year's, Chinese New Year's too, right?
Yeah,
So that's another thing that like
exactly.
a lot of people are planning around and.
So ordinarily, like a month, that sounds like you can get stuff done in a month. But when it's over Christmas and New Year's, like,
yeah, exactly.
like
people disappear.
and companies just vanish, and
yeah.
Oh boy, yes.
It is tougher and tougher to do those sort of things.
Anyway, yep.
Yeah.
Fun days, fun times.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. There were some like. there was one problem that came up that I thought was kind of interesting for here. Where it was like, it was one of those scenarios where like me and a coworker were like working through like all of these different options it could be. And it just like, at the end of the day, it was just like, oh, well, we could just like not do what the problem is. I'm trying to find the ticket that I filed for this sort of thing where it was really a silly problem. What was the end thing? It wasn't that one.
Nope.
I'll find it here. I'll find it. But like sometimes you just have like these issues where like you think, you've set these constraints almost upon yourself, right? For like a board design, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what it was. It was, so I have an auxiliary modem attached to a microcontroller I'm using, right? So I'm using an NRF9160.
Yep.
And then it's talking to an ESP32C3, right? So that's a ESP Wi-Fi module in AT mode. And so,
as in Hayes ATC, that's where my mind goes when you say the word
exactly
modem.
Dave, that's exactly what it is. That's what's crazy. It's still a thing.
I know.
AT modems are still a thing. It's like, how are we still here?
Hayes AT command set, it's
that's
like
exactly right. Yes.
Used to know that off by heart,
Yeah.
And it's 300 baud modem,
Yeah.
300 bits per second.
And so I'm shoving so much stuff into this design that it's just like I'm out of IOs, right? So then it starts getting into like, oh, well, we could do a GPIO expander and all of these different problems, and like all of these different things came up there, and so it also came down to the point where like one of the other restrictions on the 9160 is that there's only 4, like all of these chipsets these days have these flexible peripheral sets. So, you can have like, it could be a SPI controller, or it can be an I2C controller, or it could be a UART controller, right? So you could have up to 4 UARTs, but if you have 4 UARTs, that means you can't have any I2C or any SPI.
Right.
So it's like, basically you choose which 4 you want to use, because it's using, I think, the same address space is one of the problems there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because I was going to ask about the physical, like, is it an internal like routing thing, or is it
I'm not sure what it is.
With the peripheral routing, like, and they're in the same block, but then they use the same outputs in pins to the internal matrix, if you sort of know what I'm talking about. And
right,
then,
exactly.
And
Like the flexible fabric sort of thing.
And then it gets routed to the pins you want and stuff like that. So that that's where my
I'm not
mind
sure
went.
because it's like they all have their own like addressable thing, but the real restriction is that it's like you can have UART 0123, or you can have SPI 0123, I2C 123, but you can't use the same base number more than once. And the other weird thing about it is like, and this is on the 9160 specifically, which is their cell modem, it's different than it is on their Bluetooth stuff. So it's like, okay, well, whatever, but like that's like a weird thing.
Yeah,
it's probably just one of like those some constraint they had on the silicon. Okay, fine, whatever. And so now it's just this thing you have to deal with. And thank goodness my coworker found these, because I would have just like happily been like, oh look, we can have 4 of each.
Yep. Yep.
And then that's the one where you like, you get, it's like, oh, nothing's working here. It's like, yeah, well, you completely shoved way too much stuff onto this chip, Chris.
Yep,
that's
absolutely
how I operate.
Yeah.
And so I think the real thing in this case was like we were running out of GPIO, and we were also running out of UARTs to talk to the AT modem over UART, right? And it's like, oh, well, we could switch it into SPI mode, but then there's no Zephyr driver for SPI mode to talk to the ESP32 AT modem. Fine, I guess we could write that, but that's like
it's just another
days,
process.
weeks, months, who knows, right? I don't think it's worth it. And so the end result was just like, oh, well, the assumption that we had to use some of the pins from the board we were borrowing from is the real, that was ended up being like the assumption that I had not thought of. And so there's like a SPI flash on board, but we're doing other SPI stuff. And it's just like, oh, well, don't double up on your SPI buses. Just use the nature of a SPI bus and add another CS pin, chip select pin. And now I freed up a bunch of IOs. I freed up a bunch of,
nice.
Freed up another UART to talk to this thing. So yeah, that was like a really clutch. That was my coworker Chris who figured that out. So
got it.
That was super clutch, and that's going to make things a lot easier, which is really nice.
Double check, triple check your capabilities of your devices. Don't just look at the top level banner spec. Oh, it's got 4 UARTs. Yeah, great. And then you realize you can't use them all at the same time because they.
Yeah, I mean, you
share
either
things.
read it up front or you read it when you're on the bench at 2 a.m, right? Those are your
Right.
two choices, you know? And it's like, oh, frick.
After you've already bought your
Exactly.
prototype board and you're 2 ways and you're 2 days away from the trade show and
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
Painful.
Well, I am also cleaning up all of the memes that I put into this schematic and other stupid comments because I'm also going to be open sourcing it. And so it's like,
Right, okay.
oh no, this isn't fit for consumption. Although I am keeping in the top level image for the sheet with all the power parts. I have Palpatine, you know, like
Yes.
shooting
yes,
lightning out of his fingers and
Emperor, yeah.
ultimate power.
Do it.
I'm keeping that one in there, Dave.
Right,
It's-
yes,
it's-
that's
people can
yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough, you know, like reading data sheets is like, it is its own fine art, but it's even, I don't know, there's just so many demons buried in those things, you know?
Yeah. And they're not going to tell you at the top, are they? They're just not that courteous. Why are, you know?
Well, yeah, I think that's the thing though. Like, I think one thing to remember about data sheets is they're written as a contract of agreement between the company making it and the capabilities that are broadcast to their users. And so it's like, there's no real like requirement on ease of use.
No,
it's just
right.
about, no, it's all in there. And then it's up to you, the engineer, to go and fill that out. And a lot of the, you know, I've talked to people who are like, oh yeah, I'm going to make a new type of data sheet and like change the industry. It's like, no, sorry, you're not going to change that because there's just so much history and just crap that's like layered in there. You know, it's just,
Yeah. No,
this
totally.
is the way we've always done it. You know, like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, but then, people expect it to be in that form. If you try to do it, you know, differently, people would be going, "What is this bullshit?"
That's true.
You
That's
know?
true. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah. Who moved the button? Right.
Yep.
That's the other
Yep.
problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Engineers are creatures of habit. We are. We like using our favorite chip again and again because we trust it. We like using our favorite manufacturer again and again. We trust us. Our favorite supplier again and again because we trust them, etc., etc. And, yep. Anyway. Speaking of chips.
Cheap as. I heard someone refer to cheap as chips on like NPR the other day, and I was like, oh, I know someone who says that.
Cheap
Anyways,
as
go
chip.
ahead. Yeah.
That is not my
It was. Oh, that's what it was. It was about the dying fish and chip industry because of inflation costs in the UK, because that's a podcast
Yes.
you listen to.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, and cheap as chips was the term, and I was like, oh, Dave says that. Anyways,
You
go
don't
ahead,
actually think that's my term, do you?
No, no. I said Dave says that, not
Right,
Dave
yeah,
came
yeah,
up with
right,
that.
Okay.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Yeah, cheapest chips. Yeah, that probably came from the UK. You know.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. As all, I mean, that's Australia's just discount UK, right?
Right. Of course. No worries. Oh, boy. Anyway.
Okay. Sorry, chips. Real chips. Sorry, real chips.
This one is definitely not cheap, but I'd love to know the BOM cost. Actually, I put this on the forum. I'd love to know the unit cost. Siglent have a new oscilloscope. It's the SDS7000A, and it's like high end, like really high end.
Yeah?
It's what is it? Is it 8 gig or something, right? And it's 12-bit, and it's 8-bit at 12. Hang on. SDS7000A Siglent. I better actually get the top level things. It's a 4 gig bandwidth, 12-bit ADC, right? So, so it's getting up there, right? It's 20 gig samples per second, right? Really high end, big boy stuff, right? And the thing is, they developed a custom front end ASIC for it, which is an 8 gig front end amplifier chip. And all the manufacturers that do this, Rigol have their new front end amplifier chip, and it's used in everything from their 4 or 5,000 series right down to now the 800 series for $300, right? And they use the same front end chip.
They just cripple it.
Yeah, they just because it's an 800 that Rigol one is an 800 megahertz complete front end in a single chip.
Yeah.
When I was a boy, right, a front end was a difficult thing to design at 20 megahertz, right? And then you got a 50 megahertz one. Whoa.
It still is difficult, Dave.
Yeah,
it still
right.
Is difficult.
Yeah, except that's all in a single chip now, right?
Yeah.
So all you need is a couple of relays on the front end, decoupling caps, and Bob's your uncle, right? It's got programmable gain amps in there. It's got all it's got all the good stuff, and yeah, so that's an 800 megahertz front end. So if you go and buy the 100 megahertz scope, it's actually got an 800 megahertz front end bandwidth capable chip in there. And it's exactly the same PCB layout. I've actually compared the layouts between the high end model with the 800 megahertz bandwidth and the 100 megahertz model, and they're exactly the same, right? So it's big because the chip is so cheap. The chip is cheap as chips. Because they designed it for, once you design, that's the whole reason that you design ASIC, so that in volume they're super cheap, right? But this 8 gig one, that's really high. That's like 8 gig bandwidth, 12-bit dynamic range capable, in entire front end. So that's a very impressive chip. So I'd love to know for those who are into your process geometries and your chip manufacturer and everything, what would be the cost difference on an 8 gig capable process, RF process, compared to an 800 megahertz capable process? I'd love to know what their unit cost is on those chips. Of course, they're not going to tell us. We can only ballpark estimate, I guess, but what I'm saying.
How do you know they're the different? How do you know they're the different? It is the same like markings on the chips as well.
Oh yes, it's exactly the same markings on the Rigol one.
Okay.
Yes, I don't know. Siglent have released a new competitor to the Rigol 800-900 series. That's just come out. I don't know the cost, but it's really cheap. It's like $400 or something, $500. I'm doubting that it uses this 8 gigahertz bandwidth front end chip. I just think that the unit cost is going to be way higher on this chip, but I could be wrong. We could, in theory, start seeing bottom of the range scopes with an 8 gig capable bandwidth front end, in theory. But then you need pretty exotic PCB routing at 8 gig. You need exotic, you need controlled impedance materials and, stuff like that. You start needing the fancy stuff when you're talking about that, but which you don't need for the Rigol 800 megahertz one. Like you can do that standard FR4, just your regular, stuff. You can get your 800 meg on that. So you just control your routing, make it a bit tight, and Bob's your uncle, right? But anyway, I'd love to know the cost. And
that's very far outside my pay range, Dave.
Yep,
I think
I know it's outside most engineers' pay range, really.
Capabilities, yeah, totally. Wow.
And it's low noise. It's 1.9 nanovolts per root hertz. Like over the 8 gig bandwidth. For 8 gig. Or
say root hertz though at 8 gig is quite a bit.
Anyway, exactly. That's why you got to keep it low,
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, scales.
But it's very impressive that these lower end. You think of these as like third tier make. Siglent and Rigol used to be like, who are they?
Yeah,
and
I
now
feel like
they're
it's all
rolling their own ASICs.
Innovator's dilemma type stuff where that's like true like bottom up kind of like they started with the low, super low end.
Yep.
They built from brand value. They've moved their way up. They've funded their own development sort of thing, and then now they're playing in the same arena.
Yeah.
Starting to eat away at the big boys.
Yeah, the big boys, and there's talk on the EV blog forum about how dare Siglent release a scope of this bandwidth for this sort of price. That's always
not
on.
That's always a part of
that's
it too.
Not on.
Yep.
This is supposed to be a protected
Don't
market.
you know about our
boys?
carrying costs? Yeah, right.
Right.
I know it's
Siglent, Rigol, Siglent and Tech and Croy, they're all going, come on,
Well, the other crazy thing about that, so like I always liken it to the auto industry too, and like. And then what's going to happen too is they're going to take some big swings. Like you see this in the auto industry too, where like some of the up and coming brands, they started with cheap, crappy cars, and they've worked their way up in quality and reliability and all that other stuff too. And then they're like, you know what, we need to still stand out, and we're willing to do it because we're the new kid on the block.
Yeah.
And they take some big swings, and it's like, oh wow, where did that come from?
I'm surprised. There's been who's Polestar? And they come out with this EV. Like I've never heard of them. Like. Geez, and they just pop out of, Aptera, with their little, like all these companies just pop out of nowhere, with their new cars. And it's like, geez, that's just something that we spent so long, so many decades, 50 years of all the same automakers, really. And then all of a sudden,
although they're different in Aussie land than they are here. I'm always confused when you're talking about brands, and I'm like, who? And you're like, oh, it's Ford.
Right,
Right.
The
but
Kingswood.
You're right. I mean, they haven't changed much, right? I mean,
right,
like
the market
local markets,
hadn't.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
And there was a video which I saw pop up on my timeline, but I didn't click on it. But the video title was "Why It's Illegal for Toyota to Sell Cars." And it's like they're talking about the sales channels, right? They're talking about all the existing companies, right? You don't buy a car, you don't buy a Ford from Ford. You don't buy a Toyota from Toyota. You buy them from dealerships.
From, like, distributors.
You buy them from dealerships, and they might have Toyota dealership on it, but they're not owned by Toyota, right? It's like, it's and there might be an authorized service
that direct
center,
model
but they're not.
That direct model was why Tesla got a lot of flack.
Tesla got a lot of industry flack at the time because they went, well, why do we have to sell through a dealer? Why can't we just sell it direct on the website? Why can't you just car in shopping cart? Boom. Straight
but
on
that
the
also
website.
has changed a lot of things too, and I wish it would, because I have to buy a car soon, I think, and I'm not happy
really?
about it.
Why is your one is it getting too old? Is it crapping out, or
No, I just growing
child
family
expansion?
and,
Child expansion.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah.
You'll be getting the what is the car of choice for those with like 5 kids? What is it? The Kia Carnival. As soon as you get a Kia Carnival. Yes, the Kia Carnival is the celebrity car of choice for those with 4 or 5 kids. Yeah, the Kia Carnival.
Oh my gosh, that thing's a beast.
Yeah. It comes in different
that
sizes,
is
but
so
it goes
big.
right. Yeah, it's yeah.
Are they allowed to have that in Australia?
Yeah.
That looks like wow, that is a really big car.
Yeah.
No, I always think of
really,
like
you haven't heard of a Kia Carnival
minivan. No, I never have.
Okay.
That's the thing, Dave. I have the only car I've ever owned, that I've ever bought rather, was in 2004.
Right.
That was it. And then
right. Okay.
it died. I moved to Chicago. I didn't have
Yep.
a car there, and now
Right.
Yep. Yeah. So,
Anyway. Yeah, so as soon as you hit the 3rd kid, you start thinking about the Kia Carnival, I think. That's the
wow.
Yeah.
That's a big car.
Well, there are bigger. Like you can buy a giant.
They're
you
beasts,
can buy a giant
buy a Winnebago.
Mercedes Benz. I don't know the model name, but they sell a gigantic tank thing. I actually posted a photo of one of these.
I can't afford this on a podcaster salary.
Exactly. And there's one gigantic beast parked down in the carport, underground car parking, and I tweeted a photo of it once, and I was walking past it, and the first thing I thought of is you could convert that into a lab. It's like it was so enormous and boxy, and it's like you could literally that's actually bigger than my old lab in the garage. You know, it's like and you could actually convert it. And if I had the space, I would probably do like a van conversion. I'd probably do
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
lab van conversion.
Like a Sprinter van or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I've got nowhere to put it while the conversion happens.
That's a deep, dark hole to go down.
Yeah,
I would not recommend people go on YouTube and start looking at van life.
Van life videos. Well, they're old hat now, aren't they? It was all the rage, like
just like tiny homes.
Tiny homes were all the rage.
Yeah.
Didn't you want a tiny home at one point? You were bragging that you wanted. You were desperately.
I wouldn't brag. Hey,
no. But you were like salivating. You were salivating over.
Salivating is maybe a better term.
Yeah.
And then what cured me of it? One day I was like in an airplane bathroom. And I was like, I had problems turning around in there, not because I was like bigger, but just because it's an airplane bathroom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, right, this is what they want you to. This is like what it would be like.
Yes.
I'm like that.
Yeah, right.
That
really, that actually cured you.
It cured me instantly. Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, terrific.
A little bit of reality smacking you in the face.
Reality, and then kids happened, and that's another reality. Smack in the face. Yep. Oh boy. Yep.
Oh, it's fun, man. Come on. It's fun.
Yeah, of course it is.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah.
But, it changes things. Like, you have to be practical. You have to do more. Yeah.
The only thing constant is change. That is very correct.
Okay.
And speaking of, I will be reworking training in the new year. So I do training currently. Did I ever tell? I think I told you
As
about
in
training.
training, this
how I
is
do training.
conceptual electronics training you're talking about.
No, this is Goliath stuff. So
Oh, right. Okay.
I do with my coworkers. I do Zephyr training. I train people for
Yes,
Zephyr,
right.
How to use Zephyr. And we had been on last time about Zephyr as well. And so the way I've been doing this is one thing I hate about training in general is that everybody brings a computer that's just like, I don't know, like so Dave brings
totally
his
different. You spend
Windows
half your time.
laptop. He brought out of he got out of the dumpster room,
Yeah,
and it's just
exactly.
like
Yeah.
it's got somebody else's Windows XP
Yeah.
on it. Okay,
Yeah.
well, then you're always starting from different problems and different spots, and that's one of the problems. So one of the things that we worked on was this thing called Chasm, and it's basically like it's called desktop as a service, which is a stupid term, but basically it's like
I'm
a desktop
sure you've
in a
mentioned
browser.
this before.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's another solution. That's what I really wanted to get at here,
All right.
which is what we're going to switch that to. And it's kind of interesting. So there's this thing called code spaces. And basically, like, when you wrote code, were you ever doing VS Code stuff, or were you still kind of like Eclipse IDE type of things?
Visual Studio.
You did like that Moon.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, VS Code.
Yep.
Yeah, you were doing that stuff. And so this is like, so code spaces is part of GitHub. And there's other services that do this.
Yeah, there's
But there's this it's not new at all. But there's a way that basically you can set up a container, and so like all of your tool chain is completely pre-installed in there. And this is what we had done on the Chasm thing as well. So basically everything's kind of pre-installed, and in the past you were like logging in and viewing a desktop, and then you were launching VS Code within there, and so it just looked like you were on someone else's computer. It was like almost like a remote terminal. This new one is basically now it's CodeSpaces is similar, except it's like kind of more opaque to the user. And so it's basically like I would send you a link. Like I could send you a link right now, and it would have the toolchain pre-configured.
Yeah.
It would have all the code in there.
We actually played around with it live once.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Nice.
You sent me the link, and you sent me a link, and I went in and we played around. It just
yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah.
Right. And that was still Chasm, but this new one is the code
right.
spaces.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it's like one of the things that's cool
free,
about it.
Right? It's
free. Like it's basically like you have to pay for compute. So like I could send you a link, and it would be you get like a couple hundred. You get like maybe like 50 to 100 hours of like compute time for free.
Oh, okay, because it's
GitHub.
all cloudy, right? So you got to pay.
It's
for
all cloudy,
the server
right.
time, right?
Right, but then it's like if you're using like 100 hours or more, then you start paying a pretty reasonable cloud rate, and then it's like it's very much worth it. I think it's like if you're using it that much, you're basically getting value out of it. So it's like this cool. And then so the way it is, like, so I would send you a link, you would click on this thing, you would then have this container in your GitHub account, and then you'd have VS Code all configured with the code ready to go, and then it's like literally like run a command and you're already compiling. So like, and it's kind of like you could do the same thing, like you hear about like continuous integration, continuous delivery. Like that's another thing that people do often for firmware stuff these days, where it's like you and I might be compiling the same firmware on our computers, but if the tool chain's different, whatever, we might have a different binary. Well, now it's like we would be shipping that code off to be compiled on the cloud, and then we'd have a binary that's always the same. And now it's like also we get a copy of that same compiler on our GitHub account as well. So it's like you can always be sure that you have the same setup.
Right.
So
very cool.
Yeah,
that saves a huge hit.
Yeah, so many
people
so many
have
problems,
no idea. If you've never been in like a group workshop with all people working on a group work, like I'm not kidding. Half of the class, half the time is spent debugging problems with the setup. It's like half of it's wasted. Yeah. Every time, guaranteed. Somebody someone puts their hand up, my system's not working. Well, the driver's not installed properly. Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Breathe in, breathe out. Deep breaths.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I thought you were going to say I thought you meant with the group workshop too, like so I've had it where, you're making a final firmware image to like ship off to someone else. And it's like, I've actually made the mistake where I've labeled it wrong at that stage after you've made it, and now it's like sitting in your local drive.
Yeah.
And you just label it wrong then.
Yep.
Like that is a way to mess up a lot of stuff. Like
Yep.
Yeah, you can really mess things up at that point. So yeah. So this also kind of fixes that. So anyways, it's super cool. Check out CodeSpaces if you haven't done it. It's very big in other industries, right? In the software world,
Oh,
this is
yeah,
already
I'm
like a
sure
well-known
it's huge,
entity.
and all the
People
software,
are screaming at
the
their
real software
podcasts
people,
right
because
now.
both
Totally.
both yourself and me are not real software people.
No.
No.
But
Yep.
my coworkers are.
Right.
And,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
No, it's really cool. It's gonna be interesting, and I'm excited about that for the new year because I don't know, like even to the point where like if I was working on like a test branch of some code, so I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go implement a new feature, and then I pull in like a new like library as well.
Mm-hmm.
I could just pull all that stuff in, including the library, send you a link, you boot this up, and it's got the library, the tool chain, everything that's updated to it, and then you try it just how I'm trying it.
Yep.
It's that's pretty rad.
Game changing. Yep.
Yeah. Code. I'll get good at it sometime, Dave.
I don't think I'll ever be good at it. No.
Yeah.
I'm
Never
just
say never,
capable
man.
enough to sort of get myself into and out of trouble,
I mean, you did that. I enjoyed that CH32 V003 video you did. I thought that was
all
good.
right. Oh,
So,
yeah. That was all right.
I think it's still you don't have the project required,
Right.
You don't have that.
Yep.
You don't have that drive because you've
Yep.
got a deadline looming. What you need, sir, is a boss.
I need a boss, a deadline.
Yeah.
I need
Call
the wife to
Mrs.
task
EV
me for
EV
a
blog.
new
I was gonna
electronics
say.
project. I need her to task me with an electronics project.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Design this.
I'm actually going to be
Automate our
tasking
home.
myself with this
Yeah. What?
in the new year is Home Assistant stuff. Have you
Oh
looked at Home
God,
Assistant?
I hate home. I hate home automation shit. No, just
Why?
no. I
do you hate about
want a light switch which I turn off and on. Damn it.
Oh yeah, I don't.
I don't want to,
lights. It's not about
Although
lights for me.
something, although there's some things now, like I've got a new pool, and it'd be nice to technically.
Yeah, that's the kind
automate,
of thing that I think about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so like so we had Jeff Geerling on. Oh boy. We had Jeff Geerling
Chris
on
just broke
a
something in the
couple weeks
lab.
ago.
It's all right.
Yeah, I
folks.
just dropped my really expensive wireless lapel mic. Oops. And Jeff was talking about this a little bit. He's done some videos about it too, but like, yeah. So basically, it's like you install it on like Raspberry Pi or a local computer, and then it kind of sits there and it does your automation.
Yeah.
It can do it behind your firewall as well, so you
Right.
don't have to
Yeah.
go and talk out to Google servers or Apple or
Right.
whatever. And then
Well,
the
why
thing
the
I'm
hell would
excited
you want
about
to
is
do
actually-
that? If you're going to automate it locally, for goodness sake.
Right, that's what I said
Yeah.
I'm doing.
Hmm.
So is that what you meant?
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're saying I'm doing it right? Yeah.
Yes. I know.
yeah,
I'm
okay,
saying
yeah,
if
okay.
I'm
Yeah.
like, if people are going to automate their home, don't rely on that cloud rubbish.
Oh, I think that's easy use thing, right? I mean, like
Oh.
if you're like completely bought into the Apple ecosystem, I could see people being like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah,
well, I'm just
probably,
gonna
but
buy the Apple this, the Apple that.
Don't
and it
come
should just
crying on
all magically work.
freaking Twitter when you're locked out of your house
Yeah.
because you're,
Yeah, sure,
Like-
sure. Yeah, the ecosystem breaks or
Yeah.
you lost your keys or whatever. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, totally, yeah. But there's another thing called ESP Home, and then you can basically write really easy automation. So like if you wanted to make a pump monitor for your pool,
Yep.
right, and you could make like an ESP32 current clamp monitor,
Oh,
write
yeah.
write like a couple lines of YAML, and then you're
Yep.
like done, and then it hooks right in. that's
A,
kinda
a few lines of what?
YAML.
What the hell is
YAML?
YAML? Is this a spin-off from
YAML
Gamel?
Yeah, that's what I said. That's exactly the joke I
What the
made.
hell
dude.
is YAML?
No. YAML, it's like yet another markup language, I believe. Is
Oh, I was going to say it's yet another language, and it's literally in the name.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it's literally
right,
the name. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So at least they're
Yeah, it's
taking
pretty. I mean,
this,
it's basically like directives. So if you've ever seen like
It's pseudocode.
Docker lines,
It's freaking
yeah, that's
pseudocode.
it's scripting.
Everything's
scripting,
devolving back to pseudocode.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Hands up in the comments. Does anyone do pseudocode? Do they actually teach pseudocode anymore? Because they used to teach pseudocode.
No.
You used to
Well, a
learn
bit out
pseudocode.
of school, Dave.
Right? No. Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
why I'm asking. I haven't been in school for long time.
Yeah. I did visit Duke finally. I got to see some of the Duke facilities.
Yeah. Okay.
That's a local university where I live.
right.
So
Yep.
yeah, finally met someone from there.
All right. I did a tour
But, yeah,
of
well,
the University of New South Wales. That was cool.
Oh, how did that go?
Yeah, you can watch my tour video of their lab.
Oh.
They've got a lab there.
Oh, I should have.
Yeah.
I guess I should have done a tour video.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
That wasn't the quantum thing, right? That was
Yeah,
something
that was
different,
part of the quantum. I shot that on the same day.
right? Oh, it was.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay.
So
right, we'll
thanks
link
for
that in
reminding
now.
me. I have to do part 2 of the quantum video. It's
Got
just
it. Yeah.
A
Yeah.
bit of an editing
okay.
nightmare because I had multiple cameras and they're all everything's unsynced and all the audio's unsynced on different, you know.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully I'll have some, again, like software people who are into Home Assistant, they're going to be like, yeah, Chris, welcome to the party like 10 years ago on all these things that I'm talking about.
Exactly.
But I'm doing it now, so it's fun for me. And some people out there haven't heard about this stuff.
Right.
And also, I know how to solder, and maybe you don't. So, yeah. Also, I'm in charge here.
Right.
I am the captain now.
Well, if I am going to automate my pool stuff, I might
Yeah.
look into this ESP Home thing.
Yeah.
Because
it'd be
I don't
ESP
like
Home
it's
plus assistant,
like
yeah.
you know, because I don't keep up to date on a lot of this stuff like you do because it's your job,
Yeah.
you know, to keep up to date on all these platforms.
I mean, this is
whatnot.
but this is also like smart home stuff, right? So it's
Right.
different. Like it's consumer, it's open source.
Yeah.
It's like this is more like hobby level stuff that I would do
I
for
used
myself,
a smart home thing before. I was monitoring my lab temperature, and
Yeah.
then the server freaking just vanished one day. You know, it's like it doesn't work anymore.
yeah.
It's like, oh god, you know,
Yeah.
give me a break.
You were doing that. You had it for. You had like a third party service for your solar. I remember as well. That's kind of
Yes,
smart homey.
it's
But that
a
was like a standalone service.
it's a monitoring system. It's their own. Yeah, it's a 4G based. It actually reports VAC via cellular, and it reports the data back and logs
Right.
it and all that sort of stuff. Yep.
But you would just check that on like their webpage. It wasn't like tied into other stuff.
No,
right?
it's not tied into. They don't actually make any other automated devices. It's just you. Yeah, you just log into their website or the app, and you can see your
Yeah,
consumption and monitor in real time and
that's
stuff like that. Handy, but it doesn't
Yeah, well, I
tie
think
into anything.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's what it comes down to is like how much you expect your users. So like in that case, like they're selling a standalone product, and there's probably not a lot of incentive for them to be like, well, we have open APIs. If they don't have like a developer community or whatever,
Yeah,
like,
no.
why would
they
people
don't.
care?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
And so
uh,
it doesn't really
yeah.
add anything for them.
My
so-
Zappy EV chargers like that. It's like technically they do have an API, I think, but everyone bitches about it that it's not. Although I haven't checked it in the last year, but last I looked at it, sort of like it was clunky or something like that. And it's like, and they don't like they actually technically offer a product to do what I want, but it doesn't do what I want because it's actually designed to drive pumps directly, like just a bare pump directly. I don't want to do that. All I want is for my any excess solar, I want it to just switch a relay. That's all I want it to do. I want a little box which says like I've got the complete control solution. I've got a hub which can tie into other devices, and all I want is just a little relay output, like to just to trigger my heat pump, to turn on and use excess solar or something like that. But yeah, they don't sell that product, and it's not integrated to their Zappy. It's like if I was designing that EV Zappy, I would have had a simple relay with a control output that says, well, if your EV's not charging, okay, you can use the energy for something else. And here's a relay contact. Boom. But they didn't build that in. It's like...
So wait, tell me again about the power routing stuff. So this is like your solar is overproducing.
My
your car
solar's
is already charged.
Yes, my solar's overproducing, so my Zappy charger has current clamps. It can detect a difference in the current that I'm exporting current, right? So I'm exporting power. Okay, you don't want to export power because you get to pay a pittance for it. I want to charge my EV with it. So as soon as it goes excess by a certain amount, it'll start charging your car if you've actually plugged it in, right? And I'd also like it to...
Different problem.
Yeah,
Different
and I'd
problem.
also like it to do other things, like to recharge
Yeah,
my
I see.
storage battery using excess.
Yeah, so you want like a logic diagram almost of like if this then that sort of thing almost, right?
Not even like it can already set priorities because they sell like a specific heat pump. They actually sell a specific pool heater thing, but it's designed to like drive the element directly. So they've got like the mains, SCR chopper thing for like driving the element at various at different powers to match the excess solar power. And it's like, I don't really want that. I just want a relay that just goes off and on. It's like.
So you're gonna then control your heater basically.
My
Like you're gonna turn on your
heat
heater
pump,
when you
I would
have a bunch
switch
of
on the
extra
heat
power.
pump. Yeah, I would if
To
we're
then go
using
heat
excess
up the
power.
pool? Is that right?
Yep. But
Okay, I
then you've got the problem hysteresis, right? What if it suddenly comes
Sure.
over cloudy for a few minutes? Do you want to keep switching your heat pump off and on? The answer is no,
Right.
you don't, because it's
Right,
not
because
good for it to be
fatigue and-
chopping it
yeah,
100
right.
times a day when a cloud comes over, right? So you want some hysteresis programmed into there so that it, comes on and stays on and then only will switch back off when it's truly dark or based on a timer or, like based and like an or function. Like if you've got, and if then else, or, some sort of logic function so that if you've got excess solar
Sounds like pseudocode to me,
it's
Dave.
in this time, and it's within this time window, then turn it on, and but I don't know. And then you've got priorities. So you want to, I need to charge my EV. I want my EV to have priority today, please, but tomorrow I don't, kind of thing. It's like it gets
See, I think
real
this
messy.
is I think
It
this
gets
is one of
real
the
messy.
problems with smart home in general. Like, so smart home is kind of its own class of things, and there's like, so one problem is that it's multi-vendor, right? So like it's
a nightmare.
you might have Google, you might have Amazon, you might have who knows what, you might have something you bought off of a marketplace somewhere. It might be something you built yourself, but like getting those things all to work together, it's like there is no. Basically the answer that Apple has for I want my Apple speaker to talk to my door lock is like, make sure your door lock works with Apple because we are the 800-pound gorilla.
Yes.
Right. That is basically their solution. And it's like, if you don't work with us, you're not friends with us. Don't go away. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, I get it from a business perspective. That's fine. And it's not just Apple. I'm just picking on Apple. Fine. I think actually Stacy Higginbotham, when she in like her last episode with Kevin of the IoT podcast, she was talking about this, like the frustration that she thought this was going to get better over the years that they did IoT podcast.
Right.
And it's legit. I mean, no, it is legitimate. Like basically it's like that the control should have moved further up in the software stack. And I think some of it did, but I think the problem is that there's just still so much commerce involved.
Yes.
And that like there's big companies jostling for position and thinking they're going to win everything. And there was no incentive to be like the most open, right?
That's it.
They were disincentivized from that, I think. And so what I'm excited about with Home Assistant is it's like, okay, well, you can start to do some of this yourself, and it may not be perfect. It's probably going to suck, actually, but I think it's going to be like, at least I'll have some more agency, and that's all I really care about.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No. And I get this all the time. People, why don't you just write a few lines of code and you can automate your heat pump with your EV? And it's like, it's not the usage scenario is actually a lot more complicated than that. Unfortunately, it's not. There's so many different scenarios that I want it to do something different in. So many priorities.
So they're saying to like write like a code for like a microcontroller to do that sort of thing.
Well, it's not just that. It's how it's not just the technical part of doing it. The technical part of doing it, you can do it. But the part of
you know how relay works.
yeah, exactly. But the
Right.
part of actually deciding what you want today, because my requirements on one day might be different to requirements on another day. Sometimes I want to prioritize my EV. Sometimes I want to prioritize the heat pump because the kids want to go swimming tomorrow. The wife wants to go swimming tomorrow, so I better heat that up today. And but we do want to actually go somewhere in the EV, and we've got all this, and I want to charge my rechargeable, storage battery, and like it's not that it's.
First off, very first world problem you have.
Oh
Right
yeah,
there.
totally right.
But I can relate. Yeah, no, totally. It's like it's fine.
This is why I don't necessarily jump right into it and just. People think I can just solve it by applying any one of these various technologies to it, but technically, it kind of sort of can. But on an operational level, it's just there's so many different requirements, and they conflict sometimes. And like, how do you handle that? And like, I'm almost better off just manually doing it. Just okay, we need the heat pump tomorrow. Just switch it on and
flip the switch. Yep, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I think some of this is also like a good analogy of like why you have layers of abstraction in the first place, right? So like you should basically have some firmware that like just says listen for a signal, flip the relay, right? You wanted to have like that's dead simple.
Yeah.
It always works, it works, whatever. And like the function's not going to be, but like you wouldn't want to go and write like your scheduler logic in C for a microcontroller that like then you're like changing on a daily basis
Exactly.
and like
exactly.
trying
It
to
doesn't
handle all
work.
these different things.
It
No.
doesn't work. You
Yeah.
have to have some huge higher level interface, like a button on the wall, like a
Yeah.
mode selection switch on the wall that says priority.
Sure. Yeah, exactly.
Priority switch.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Yeah.
Or I mean, like even that then, like so now you have like a scheduler layer in software that's a step above. You know, you're talking to it over Wi-Fi, or whatever, and you're now at the layer where you're like writing software almost at a web level, and it's like, okay, now I can like handle schedules or take input from various other sources. That's kind of where I see that home assistant layer kind of living.
Yeah.
But then like, all right, Dave, I'm gonna go out on a limb here. I'm gonna go out on a big limb. I think there is a potential layer above that that's AI that might actually potentially someday, we're not there yet, someday have some use case up at that layer. We're not there because the other stuff's broken as shit too, right? But that's where, if it should ever live anywhere, it should live up there. Way.
Problem with AI at the moment is it just invents things. It just imagines things that aren't real.
Exactly. Exactly. I've just figured out, Dave, that your kids want to go for a drive in your EV in your pool next Thursday day, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it thinks it's totally legit,
Yeah. Right.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
AI's overrated. Yep.
It totally is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just talking to my lawyer brother-in-law about, he's a lawyer, and I was like, how is I hear that like AI is coming
for your job
to the lawyer space. He's like, no.
No.
And I'm like, that's how I feel too. There's something there.
When it
It's just
first
not
came
there yet.
out, you're like, I was amazed. Like I've changed my tune on AI. I thought when it first came out and it was doing this amazing, like it's an amazing tool. It can be an amazing tool,
Sure.
like phenomenal tool. But people are then extrapolating that in 12 months time it's going to be doing this, and it's just it's bullshit. And I've publicly made the claim on Twitter, and I'll make it here as well, that general, like true general AI, right? That is the that's the AI that can actually I'm going to claim it'll never happen.
Never happen.
Never
Oh,
happen.
I don't know if I agree
No
with that.
time frame.
Oh man.
No time frame. Where true, there are a lot of people who will claim it, but I reckon I now think it's not going to happen.
I do agree with that. That's going to happen many times, and there's going to be scares about it, and there's going to be like the guy that got fired from Google about whistleblowing, about like whatever.
And then
like,
they'll find that it's just like a smarter niche AI.
100 monkeys behind a curtain, right?
Right. There'll be so many startups making billions of dollars, and they'll go bankrupt because when the curtain's pulled back, there's
Do you know how expensive it is to buy a .ai domain? It's like they figured out that like, because you could literally, like right now you can, maybe not right now rather, maybe like a year ago, you could literally fundraise off the idea that you had a .ai domain name. And that you're gonna be adding capabilities that are artificial intelligence.
All right. Boy.
Dave, there is yet to be an AI that can save me from myself when I do a layout. Let me tell you. I don't care what they say.
Yeah.
I can mess anything up.
Well, where's PCB routing AI? Where is it, huh? Yeah, I was calling that.
I mean, we had Sergey on here, and it's a great stepping stone towards something. I'm excited about Quilter and other similar things, but it's a tool. It's a tool still. It's fine. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like it's still super valuable if
totally.
it is a tool.
Super valuable tool.
It's just
I
not AGI.
actually use AI as a tool. I use it a lot.
Cool. But that's what I think we've been saying on here, that it's going I think it's going to go in that direction. That's fine if it does.
Yep.
Cool.
So both you and I are saying don't invest in AI companies because most of them are probably going to be
don't invest
bullshit.
in it. Well, don't worry about me. My money's tied up other places known as bigger family. Right. I got to go buy this Kia Carnival. Holy shit.
You got to buy a Kia Carnival.
11 seats? 11 seats. Who needs this? This is insane.
You do soon.
I don't. I'm done. I'm done. Done. No 11. I mean, maybe if I need to like drive the other kids around, but
because you build your lab in the back at the same time. You could multitask.
Oh my gosh.
You can multitask.
Yeah.
You could work out of the back.
You could work out of the back.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Just think of the possibilities. Oh God. Oh, this is so bad. Anyway, our amp hour's up, but we should mention, because we have mentioned it on the show many years ago, Bunny Huang's Shenzhen Guide. There's a new addition to that, and it's written by Naomi Wu, has updated that.
Great.
So she is back, kind of.
Yes.
Yes. So
Much as
she's still around. She
I hope she's okay. Yeah.
disappeared in quote marks.
She stuck her neck out and
and she was Chinese disappeared.
Yeah.
But no, she has tweeted again, and now she's written this. Well, she's like done the update to this book. So you can. It
looks great.
It looks really good. They raised 40 grand of their 10 grand goal, but there's view purchasing options. So if you missed out, obviously you did miss out on the crowdfunder, but you can get it for $30 and you can back it, and we'll link it in down below. So yeah, if you're ever shopping in Shenzhen, you probably shouldn't go without getting this book.
Yes, agree.
Yep, totally. I would not even hop on a plane there without getting this. Yeah, it's great. Anyway, good to see that she's okay and back, kind of, sort of, even if she's not making
I hope we get to
videos.
see more videos of hers.
Yep.
I miss her.
And, anyway, yep, that's it.
All right. See you soon, I guess.
Catch you next time.
We'll get AI to do that.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah.